Hello, my name is Nandini Kini Nayak. I'm a risk management professional with a background in banking and financial services, as well as strategy consulting. I'm excited to have the opportunity today to support Girl Up War. In the simplest terms, a risk is the possibility that something negative will occur. In the context of banking and financial services, which is a space that I work in, risk is the possibility of an event that leads to negative impacts on the company. And that could be either financial loss or a non-financial impact, such as damage to the company's reputation. Every company takes on risks in order to generate revenue and profit. I would argue that in financial services companies, risk management is core to their business. They're managing risk on behalf of their customers, but in turn, they must manage their own risk. Otherwise, the losses from their risk events will wipe out their profits and make their business unsustainable. So risk management is particularly key to the profitability and sustainability of financial services and banking. That's a very interesting question. So business in general has two broad types of risks, financial and non-financial. Examples of financial risks could be unforeseen expenses, unforeseen legal costs or fines, credit risks, so where you lend to a borrower and they don't repay you the full amount, or market risks, where you make an investment and it doesn't gain value. Examples of non-financial risks, which are equally important, are operational risks, for example, where you have a manual error in processing or calculation. You could have system errors because of the way a system is configured. You could also have cybersecurity risks, I'm sure you're well aware of that, and reputation risks. Right? So significant reputation damage to a company is very difficult for the company to recover from, especially once it's lost its customers. The differences between the not-for-profit or social enterprise sector and the corporate sector. The not-for-profit or social enterprises, of course, they manage risks to maximize their social objectives or to achieve their social objectives because, of course, they're not for shareholders or for profit. Right? Whereas for-profit enterprises or the corporate sector is always seeking to maximize their shareholder value. This is another interesting question. Risk management, in my view, is about a diverse set of skills, not necessarily a particular degree. And there are many, many paths to become a risk management professional. I myself have an MBA, though my undergraduate degree is in engineering. My colleagues have backgrounds that are as diverse as finance, statistics, law, economics, data science, technology, and one of my colleagues in the past even had a nursing degree. So really my point here is it's about, do you have analytical skills? Do you have the ability to understand a big problem and break it down into components, but also understand complex relationships between different parts of the business and how different types of risks impact each other. So it's really about those skills as opposed to a particular degree or specialization. I can go on about this for quite some time, but I think the key one is what I call the neither here nor there syndrome. So early on in my career when I was younger, and of course, I looked as young as I was told to be more assertive, right? That you have to be seen as in charge. People won't take you seriously if you're not more assertive. So then later, when I progressed and I was more assertive, and especially as I progressed up the ladder, I had the opposite issue, which is I, for example, was told by an older man that I'm stepping out of line, that I shouldn't ask tough questions to senior people, that I'm kind of, that's not my place. And, there have been different kind of reactions to that. And I think a lot of it depends on both the company culture and especially the attitude of the leader and kind of your boss in the organization. In one particular case, I had a fantastic male boss who saw through that and said, listen, you're 15, 20 years younger than that man. You're a woman. He's not used to this. And that's clearly what's driving his reaction to you. But I want you to keep doing your job. You're doing it right. you're doing exactly what you're supposed to. So keep doing it. In other cases, and again, this depends on company culture, being assertive sometimes gets the reaction of, oh, you're being too direct, or, she's not playing fair. She's untrustworthy. She's personally, it's a personal attack to me. I see it as a personal attack. Unfortunately, I do, and I'm going to, tell it like it is here. I do feel that sometimes race and class play a role here as well. And I think that this situation of, not being allowed to be too assertive is especially true for women of color. I live in the US. Most of my work has been either in the US or Singapore. And I think we've seen examples where when a woman of color is aggressive or assertive, it is seen in a different light as when other women who are, not women of color or minority behave the same way. But I think that the general advice that I would give, and something that I wish somebody had told me, 15, 20 years ago, is that it's impossible to anticipate or avoid everyone's sensitivities. In fact, you can drive yourself mad trying to avoid all the different landmines that exist, right? So my recent view, and this is, fairly recent in the last 5 years, has to obviously, be professional, be polite. I think we know that. Be collaborative, be good to your people, and be fair to your people. But if a certain work environment cannot accommodate you doing your job and being, not only competent but assertive, then find another team or another environment that does. There are plenty of opportunities. So we should never get stuck in this mindset of, oh, I don't have a choice. We always have a choice. And we should obviously make the best of what we have in a particular role or organization. But if it is clear that the environment is consistently not supportive of you doing your job and being effective, then there's always the opportunity to look for an environment that does. It did take me until my 40s to understand some of these things. And, while, when I was younger, I have a fantastic father who was very encouraging and told me a lot of these same things. I would have loved to have heard it from a woman, right? Because when you have a role model, it's a completely different thing. This is a timely question. In fact, I recently took a risk and shifted from a very large, well-regarded company to a much smaller company just at the beginning of this pandemic. So that's been an interesting learning. I can share a couple of principles that I used in analyzing whether to take a risk. I think number one is having a growth mindset. So early in my career, of course, we're all ambitious and we want to climb the ladder quickly and we want to, achieve, which I still do. I think all of us do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be, doing what we're doing. But my focus right now is on growth. So what skills will I learn? How will I grow as a leader? What value can I add to the company in the here and now? So not necessarily always focused on the next step of the ladder, but what can I do in the here and now to grow and become better and better every day? So that's number one. The second thing is to make more balanced or win-win decisions. So again, in the past, there have been times when I felt that there was a kind of a black and white trade-off, right? So in order for one area of my life to go well, I have to sacrifice the other area completely. And I think what I do differently now is I don't take decisions out of fear or out of guilt. 8 or 10 years ago, I had much more of a tendency to make a decision based, for example, on maternal guilt. I quit a fantastic role that I enjoyed and which I was doing well in, entirely because I had a young child and I felt bad for him. If I were to make the same decision now, with the benefit of, a few years and some wisdom, I would probably take a slightly different approach, which is, yes, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing for my family. At the same time, I want to not let go of, the work that I've put in with my career. And I think I would have looked for a win-win type opportunity. So not just assuming that, either you have to completely give it up or completely take it on and sacrifice everything. So really, I think, recognizing that there's many options and being creative about those options and looking for something that optimizes both the personal and professional, as opposed to looking at it as kind of a complete trade-off. So I think this is advice that I would give to women in any field, not only risk management, but identify your unique strengths. So what really differentiates you? And, it is best, I think, in this environment to be seen as a versatile leader with specialization in a few areas. So don't be too narrow and say, you only are focused in one or two areas and you're highly specialized. At the same time, you don't want to be a complete generalist who can't speak credibly or competently about one or two areas in a great amount of depth. So seek to gain experience in one or two key areas that you're interested in. Where possible, supplement with online courses or reading so you can have real depth and kind of real authority when you work in those areas. But at the same time, make sure that you have the versatility to be a good people leader in general, a good project manager, a good communicator, so on and so forth, so that you are valuable to the organization, not only in one role, but in multiple roles.